everybody, it's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the 41st millennium. Yes, we are back once more with Inquisitor Kroyle. Yes, the all-new Inquisitor for the Agents of the Imperium that Games Workshop has very kindly sent me early to build up and paint with all of you. And I really, really like this guy. I think it's very characterful, very cool, and very, very interesting. So, without further ado, we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting him. So, he's been primed in Grey Seer, and the colour we're going to be using first is Briar Queen Chill. And we're going to be applying this over top of that sort of bluish ghostliness on the mount itself, on top of all of its skin. So we're going to just start up here underneath the rain, and we're going to apply this like so. There we go. And we're going to get this over the top of the entirety of the miniature. Now there is going to be some blending later on, but for now we're just going to apply this over top of everywhere. And then once that's all done, we'll come back. So with all of that Briar Queen Chill applied, what we're then going to do is take a roughly 2 parts Coelia Greenshade to 1 part Larmium Medium mix. And we're going to apply this over the top of all the areas that are going to be sort of this final colour. And this is pretty much just the outside of the mount. So on the inside of the mount, we're just going to do a little soft blend when we get towards, for example, the inside of the legs. So we're going to bring it down like so. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and then give it that little blend there like that. Now this is only really slightly difficult because there is a bit of a hard stop there on the neck. Otherwise, the sections are pretty prescriptive. So with that Coelia Greenshade all applied, we're now going to brighten up that belly and the bits in sort of in the underside using some thinned down Deepkin Flesh. We're just going to use this to fully relayer these bits. And again, for example, here on the neck, it is a hard stop. But there is something that's going to go in between them. So you don't need to worry about blending this or anything like that. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down pink horror. And we're going to thin this down with roughly sort of 4 or 5 parts water to make it nice and runny. And in between the muscles, up to the knee, we're going to apply this for that lovely sort of pink sort of shading that they've got. So with that pink horror all applied, we're then going to do another glaze, and what we're going to do is we're going to take some Baharroth Blue. And we're going to thin this down with roughly sort of 5 or 6 parts water, and we're going to apply this over top of the muscles, like this sort of thing. Now don't worry if this gets over the top of the pink horror in some places. That's actually kind of what we're hoping will happen. Just to take the edge off it just a little bit. And again, we're only going to be doing this up to around about the knee. Across all the legs. And so with that all done, It's now time to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Black Templar. And we're going to be doing some blending here. So we're going to be blending up the legs and these little arms and along the tail as well. So I'm going to start with the Black Templar down here at the tip of these little sort of arm things. We're going to come up the arm there, wash the brush, touch off the water, and we're just going to blend it into the rest of the arm. So with that now done, we're going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to use this over the top of all the spines and over top of the hooves, talons and claws and things like that. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Druchii Violet and we're going to apply this over top of all of those black details. So with that all done, we've actually conquered a huge amount of the model now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the sort of, well, still the mount, but the mount and the rider. So the colour we're going to be using first for this is a roughly 2 parts Wyldwood to 1 part Lahmian Medium mix. And we're going to be applying this over top of all of the mount's tack. And with that all done, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of the head covering. And we're also going to apply this over top of the rifle. So with that Skeleton Horde all applied, we also applied it over the top of the bit of parchment just down there. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over the top of just the head covering and the rifle. We're not applying this over the top of that parchment. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Sigvald Burgundy and we're going to apply this over top of Kroyle's clothes. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over top of, well, all of the remaining leather details on Kroyle, such as the boots, the glove, and his belts. But what we're also going to do is on the mount, we're going to use this over the top of that sort of ventilation pipe at the front. Here. And so for real this time, we're actually going to now take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Cygor Brown. And we're going to apply this over top of all of the remaining leather details. That Cygor Brown all applied. We've also applied it over the top of his face as well, just to point that out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some Baal Red, and we're going to apply this over the top of the cloak. With that Baal Red all applied and drying, what we're then going to do is take two colours, Aeldari Emerald and Volupus Pink, and we're going to apply this over top of his feather in his cap. So we start with the Aeldari Emerald. I'm going to apply this over top of the whole thing. Like so. Then we're going to wash the brush, grab some Volupus Pink, and then up the spine in the middle we're going to apply Volupus Pink. Like that. And so with that all done, the cloak should be dry now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Flesh Tearers Red, and we're going to apply this over the top. Now you will have noticed that I did actually apply some Aeldari Emerald over those cables on his arm, and I also applied some Volupus Pink over the top of the wax seals on the parchments as well. So believe it or not, we have now arrived at the moment where we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to apply this over top of almost all of our remaining details. Now there is a bunch of sort of like gold decoration on his armour and things like that, but it doesn't matter if we get this Iron Warriors over the top of that, because this will act as a sort of base coat for that. So if you want to, you can just apply this Iron Warriors over top of all of our remaining details, such as his armour, his bionic hand, and all the various gubbins and things scattered around the mount, such as that power cable there and this sort of radio in here. Now the key thing to not forget are the shackles around the mount's legs. That silver all applied. Just before we do the gold, what we're going to do is we're going to take some black Templar, and we're going to apply this over the top of the flat parts of his armour. So this is going to be his helmet and his chest plate. And again, just before we do the gold, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil, and we're going to apply this over the top of all the silver. Including our black and silver on the armour. And with all that Nuln Oil applied, we are then going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour, and we're going to use this to pick out all of the trim of the armour and any decorative details anywhere else that you want to be gold. For example, the large inquisitorial eye just here on the canister, and the little sort of corner clasps of the book back here. And with all that Retributor Armour applied, we then take some Rekiland Fleshshade. We use this to shade the gold. So with that all done, Inquisitor Kroyle is now what I would call a War Hipster battle ready. And he's looking pretty good. However, we're of course not going to leave him there. No, we're going to take him to the next level. And we're going to do this by adding some highlights. Now, the first of these is going to be a pretty big highlight. And it's going to be some thinned down Pallid Witch Flesh. And we're going to use this to highlight basically all of the mount, excluding the darkest, blackest areas, such as the spines and the feet. So we're going to use this to highlight all the blue areas. We're also going to use this to highlight that sort of brighter inner tummy. And we're also going to use this to highlight the bedroll back here, and the weapon, and the head covering. So with that Pallid Witch Flesh all applied, we're now going to take some thinned down Warpfiend Grey. And we're going to use this to highlight those blacker details, but not the hooves on the mount. And with all that Warpfiend Grey applied, we then take some thinned down Thunderhawk Blue, and we use this to highlight all the claws and hooves and things like that. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Dawnstone, and we're going to use this to highlight all of the remaining black details. So with all of that done, we can now move on from painting in various black details. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take some thinned down Screamer Pink, and we're going to use this to highlight his clothes. So with all of that done, we're now going to take some thinned down Mournfang Brown, and just over the top of his sort of shin guards, we're going to basically do a full relayer here, just avoiding the darkest recesses. The darkest? The darkest recesses of that bits of brown. And with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Skrag Brown. And we're going to use this to highlight all of those warm brown areas that we did with Cygor Brown, and of course for the leg guards, Mournfang Brown. And with that Skrag Brown all applied, we're now going to take some thinned down Karak Stone. And we're going to use this to highlight all of our Wyldwood areas. This is all of the Mount's Tack. And then next up, what we're going to do is going to once again take some thinned down Baharroth Blue. And what we're going to do is going to use this to highlight the feather. Now we just need to highlight the strands of the feather rather than the spine. And then next up, what we're going to do is going to take some thinned down Evil Sunz Scarlet. And we're going to use this to highlight his cloak. And with that Evil Sunz Scarlet all applied, we then take some thinned down Squig Orange. And we use this to add just a couple of little spot highlights to the sharpest points in the red. And so with that all done, we then want to take a teensy tiny little bit of Night Quester Flesh, and we're going to use this to highlight his face. And then we take an equally tiny amount of Black Legion and we apply this over top of his one eye. And to finish off his face, we then want to take the teeniest little dot of Screaming Skull and I'm going to apply this in the corners of his eyeball. And so with that all done, we are now going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. And we're going to use this to highlight all the silver details. And so naturally the next place to go is to take some thinned down Liberator Gold and use this to highlight all the gold. And so with that all done, we are now going to take some Blood Angels Red. We're going to apply this over the top of all of our lenses. And so with that all done, to finish him off, we're going to take a little bit of some Cygor Brown and we're going to use this to add some parchment text, well, to the parchment. And there we have it, with his base now complete in a very similar style to how we always do. Sterling Mud, dry brushed with Tyrant Skull, Black Templar for the rocks, dry brushed with Tyrant Skull. Inquisitor Kroyle is now finished, and he's a very, very different model to a lot of things that we normally see out of 40k, and for that reason, I absolutely love it. Because it's just, yeah, it's just that sort of slightly esoteric weirdness that 40k is often lacking. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.